Public opinion must be made more aware of the risks connected to the passage of extra-large cruise ships in Venice Lagoon with regard to safety and maintenance of the city, the health of the population, and the morphology of the lagoon.
Fortunately, all the institutions agree and are working on the hypothesis to let these large ships enter from Canale di Malamocco, the sea opening of Malamocco, from the Canale of Malamocco and Marghera, to take the ships to Marittima through the Contorta Sant'Angelo Canal. This canal is very small, only 5 meters wide and not more than 1.5 meters deep. They want to increase this to 70 meters wide and 10 meters deep, connecting the Canale dei Petroli with Marittima. This would mean bringing Canale dei Petroli into the heart of the city. The entire scientific community agrees that the central basin of the lagoon has been devastated by the Canale dei Petroli, a really deep, dead straight line canal, 12 kilometers long, excavated to take petrol tankers into the heart of the lagoon. It produces such erosive effects that the central basin of the lagoon has now reached a depth of 1.5 meters and, according to authoritative studies, will reach 2.5 meters within the next 50 years. Thus, it will no longer be a lagoon, but a part of the sea.
In the last 15 years, cruise traffic has increased in Venice exponentially. The passengers have increased by 439% and the number of ships by 350%. With almost 2 million passengers embarking or disembarking in 2011, Venice has become the leading home port for cruises in the Mediterranean. To reach the city port of Venice, the large passenger cruise ships enter and leave by the sea opening at the Lido and pass twice across St. Mark's Bay in the heart of the historic town, only 150 metres from the Ducal Palace and 50 metres from St. George's Island. The largest ships are 330 metres long, 38 metres wide, 67 metres high, with a tonnage of 137,000 tons. This type of ship is completely out of all proportion to the environment it meets. It invades it beyond its capacity and causes upheaval. This hurts us, but let us think of the harm that it does to us. Disastrous hydrodynamic and erosive effects on the lagoon bed.
When these huge ships pass, the water is siphoned out of the toilet. A friend of mine who has a house near the arsenal sees that when a large ship passes, the canal in front of his building empties. What we can see above all in these photos is the piston effect. When a cruise ship passes, the rii, that is the small canals, adjacent to the main canal, are emptied, and then later the water returns. These huge cruise ships with their abnormal shape and dimensions are exacerbating the process of erosion of the lagoon. That is, when a ship passes in the lagoon, you can see an enormous mass of mud which is in suspension. It is the sediments of the lagoon bed, and these, losing their colloidal structure, end up by being washed out from the lagoon by the currents into the sea, never to return. The higher the floor your house is on, the more you feel the vibrations. You feel the vibrations even in your stomach when you walk. Then at home, you see the water in the glass dancing. In the last 3 years, the roof of these houses has had to be repaired 3 times. Wouldn't you know, just with the increase in the number of huge cruise ships, there have been problems with the static stability of these houses. Tiles and slates are being torn off.
Damage to health.
From my terrace, I have often, but really often, seen black smoke, really black smoke, and lots of it, which they say shouldn't be there, at least when the ships are moored. And the radar, too, rotates on the ship, even when it is still.
Pollution of the lagoon. Acoustic and electromagnetic pollution.
And so much noise. Some people compare it to a steel factory at full blast. Others liken it to a helicopter or a tractor. Everybody has their own idea, but to me it sounds like a steel factory.
Risks connected to unforeseen and unmanageable accidents or criminal attacks.
Venice is a very delicate, sensitive site, and as such is exposed to risks of terrorist attacks. The navigation companies and the commanders of the ships are aware of this eventuality. The proof of this is that when in port for publicity reasons they allow groups of people to go on board to visit the ship, they do not allow them to enter the strategic areas, that is, the bridge and the engine room. And, as a calculated precaution, the captain avoids being photographed. A public motorboat arrived, and it had to go around so as to reach the landing stage. The motorboat was right between the wharf of the Marittima and the cruise liner, which continued to move, I think at a distance of only 50 centimetres, and I thought, look, this is the time when an accident is going to happen.
The impact of tourism invades Venice way beyond its possible capacity. In a single day, 35,000 cruise passengers are added to the normal daily presence of 70,000 visitors, 3 times more than the number of 50,000 residents. Following the fatal accident at the Giglio Island, a legislative decree exists prohibiting the transit of these huge ships across St. Mark's Bay and the Giudecca Canal. But the application of the law has been put off indefinitely while waiting for an alternative solution, with the result that the passenger cruise ships continue to transit. After nearly 40 years from the passing of the special laws for Venice, which foresaw the exclusion of petrol tanker traffic from the lagoon, only now has the Port Authority proposed a project for an open sea outer harbour for tankers and container cargoes. So, if the political will is there, change is possible. If the huge cruise ships were also eliminated, we could begin to invert the deterioration of the lagoon. The competent authorities must fix a precise date for an alternative solution which will finally see the expulsion from the lagoon of large passenger cruise ships.